So today we will imagine, so maybe I can say a few words again to introduce my talk. I'm a nephrologist, so taking care of renal disease. And renal disease, as you may know, is a situation where quality of life is really very much decreased. And maybe that's also why I've put so much energy in my career in trying to improve that part of the experience of the disease, which is the quality of life. So I've been involved during many years to promoting educational programs and the role that we can give to our patients in the medical teams to include them in educational programs so that patients could feel more at ease with the disease and mostly communicate with the medical teams about how they experience life with the disease. And more recently, in the past 10 years, I've also been involved into teaching contemplative science, which can be a little different from what we usually hear about. So I'm a meditation teacher, and it's not only for me, but I brought meditation in the hospital as a tool to promote empathy and compassion. And I've been training more than 350 healthcare professionals in the past 10 years that came back to our daily activities, trying to promote in their own environment a different way to maybe develop soft skills for healthcare professionals. So, having said that, today we're here to imagine a new healthcare system where cutting-edge artificial intelligence not only helps us to better diagnose disease and improve quality of care, but with the idea of keeping hands on the human touch of empathy to equally transform our care. So the idea here is to explore this paradigm that we are living today, trying to reconcile the digital aspect of our work that is really changing and transforming, but keeping us really grounded into the values that we all share and that we feel are critical to best help the citizens, the patients, the human beings we are taking care of. In my talk, I will try to first define AI, artificial intelligence, and then say a word about the definition of emotional intelligence to show then how they interact, both individually and together. I will also make some suggestions to enable and to open up the discussion with all of you, enable digital healthcare to reach the quality standard that we expect, and mostly based on the co-design and the continuous evaluation of digital solutions. And for that, I will share the experience with UNIREIN. UNIREIN is a consortium that has been financially supported for 18 months now by the French government in order to support and help selected digital projects to reach the market with the best fit to patients and professional expectations. So, as you already said in introducing this conference, artificial intelligence is just a tool. It's a tool, but it has a very big ambition, and it's included in a very wide project that is called digital health, digitalization of health. And if you look at what the World Health Organization says, digital technologies can be defined as the field of knowledge and practice associated with the development and use of digital technology to improve health. Digital health expands the concept of e-health to include digital consumers with a wider range of smart and connected devices. It also encompasses other uses of digital technology, just like Internet of Things, everything we have in our smartphones, for example, advanced computing, big data analytics, artificial intelligence, and also machine learning, generative artificial intelligence, which is also arriving in our world and in the field of health today, and robotics. And we are confident about at least some of the practical benefits of digital health in promoting efficacy of healthcare, but we do have questions, and we can question its impact on some of the other outcomes that are key to quality of care, such as health equity, patients' autonomy, care relationships, and mostly empathy and compassion. Technically, artificial intelligence allows computer and machines to simulate human intelligence and problem-solving tasks. It's a tool performing tasks. The ideal characteristic of artificial intelligence is its ability to rationalize and take action to achieve a specific goal. This is for what it should be taken, and we should learn how to use it. If artificial intelligence is born to simulate human intelligence, and if it relies on software-coded heuristics, then it's clear that AI will, as human, express cognitive bias. Interestingly, we dream of an AI that could behave like humans and express emotions and create artificial empathetic relationships, as it can be called. The framework of implementation of artificial intelligence in healthcare is paved with fears and ambitious expectations. If you look at what the European Commission says about AI for healthcare, the expectations are huge really for the society. The advancements in AI technology present for the societies unprecedented opportunities to revolutionize healthcare, making it more effective, accessible, economically sustainable. So by fostering the integration of AI through appropriate policies, it expected that we can enhance equity, improve care, ensure that new technologies, treatments, and medicines benefit society at large. So it deeply impacts policies, political decisions in the largest dimensions of our lives. So, of course, the healthcare sector is indeed undergoing a real revolutionary transformation, driven by the rapid advancements of these artificial intelligence technologies. They are already here. We are using them every day, sometimes not even knowing it, which is kind of weird. These technologies are being integrated into diverse areas of healthcare for diagnosis, treatment, data management, and we'll come back on the importance of data, and patient experience as well, because we already have, and we collaborate in our project UNIREIN with at least 2 companies who are specifically specialized into using AI algorithm to better analyze patient experience, for example. So in other words, AI should offer powerful tools to enhance the quality and effectiveness of healthcare. But mostly what we can expect is that it could streamline administrative tasks and even should liberate some time in the schedules of professionals for them to be able to spend more time with their patients and less time in front of computer. This is a hope that we have. The core principle that determines AI important performance is the quality, but the quality is related to the quality and quantity of data. So the quality of data is really paramount. When we talk about high quality data, we are referring to data that are accurate, complete, standardized. And this is not exactly the case today, even in the health environment. So we still have to work on that particular point. This ensures that AI models remain robust and provide reliable predictions. For example, if you... So let's consider also the quantity of data. We need large data sets of data. This is crucial because they enhance the model's ability to generalize. So you can see here that even the quantity of data that we use to create some AI algorithm is a key factor allowing to generalize, to fit, so that the algorithm may fit to everyone, every single human being. So this means that our AI can work effectively across diverse populations if we respect the quality criteria that I just mentioned, but we also want to reduce bias and ultimately deeply improve outcomes for everyone. So now, what is emotional intelligence? I'm sure there are plenty of different definitions and different ways of looking at what it is in real life. Some early definitions of emotional intelligence were suggested in the early 1990s by namely Meyer and Salovey, and also the work of Daniel Goleman in 1995. Emotional intelligence, as you mentioned earlier, Louise, refers to the capacities that enable self-regulation and to perceive, evaluate, and respond to both one's own emotions and those of others. And there are probably many different ways to deal with this particular aim. In humans, this involves a complex interplay of cognitive abilities, emotional regulation, social skills. It can be described as relying on 5 pillars, like it's mentioned here, with intrapersonal goals, interpersonal adaptability. Stress management seems to be a very big deal in this way we can approach emotional intelligence. And eventually, also, you can see in this wheel of emotional intelligence that decision making is a critical part of it as well. And decision making is something that we really care about in the field of healthcare, because we try to help our patient to be empowered and to be able to make their own decisions together with the professionals to make the best choices for their health management. In the past decades, the definition of emotional intelligence has evolved, and there are separate ideologies, probably at least 2. Either it can be seen as a trait with the belief that it is more an inherent quality of individuals, and it should be measured through personality, skills, measurements. It can also be seen as a skill, and this is interesting because if you see it as a skill, then it opens up the reflection on how we can train professionals to become more advanced and skillful in terms of emotional intelligence. Just as an example, in 2013, the General Medical Council published update guidance detailing the way in which doctors should practice. It's just an example, because it's probably also a very complex domain to try to define the way doctors should practice. But it's interesting to see that at least 4 domains can be individualized and highlighted. Like the first domain is knowledge, skills, and performance. Second is safety and quality. The third one is communication, partnership, teamwork. And also the last domain would be trust. And trust is critically put forward when we discuss artificial intelligence today. So today the combination of the psychosocial model of care relationship, the energy that we put trying to build up models where patient-centered models, the place and the importance of empathy and compassion are rising as key components of healing and quality of care. As shown, for example, in this review article, there's also evidence supporting a positive role for emotional intelligence within medical practice to protect clinician wellness and clinician health. We know that the daily practice of clinicians involves aspects that are heavily affected by their emotional intelligence: teamwork, communication with patients and colleagues, building trust with patients, and overall clinical performance. And we also know that decreased emotional intelligence in physicians can be linked to the occurrence of burnout, which in consequence adversely affects patient care in key areas such as safety, satisfaction, treatment outcomes, physician turnover, and even some financial performances. So incorporating emotional intelligence in a holistic medical education would therefore seem sensible, particularly given the evidence that, as I said, we can increase EI levels through focused education. And a key issue, for example, here remains the way we can measure emotional intelligence, and it's probably critical in opening up opportunities to better study the links between emotional intelligence and clinical practice, including, the digital tools that we have today. So one big question is, can AI gain human qualities? This is probably a dream, or anyway, there are plenty of different answers for this specific topic, I guess. So if AI is to take more space in the care pathways, so we should expect it to cover some of the values and most important human qualities that we want to defend. In a recent study, the researchers tested whether artificial intelligence can demonstrate emotional intelligence. So they evaluated 6 generative AI tools like ChatGPT, and 6 of them, and they tested them against standard emotional intelligence assessment. What they show in their study is that AI exhibit excellent scores, even better scores than human, using the available tests that were offered. But moreover, what is really interesting and surprising is that they were able to generate even more reliable tests. I mean, the ChatGPTs and the AI was able to generate tests for measuring emotional empathy. And in a second stage, the scientists have tested over 400 participants these new tests that have been brought by artificial intelligence to validate their quality and discriminating qualities. So there's the intrications of human qualities and artificial intelligence qualities is really strong and very extraordinarily exciting to explore. Among the quality as computers try to learn from human is emotion recognition. I will not spend a lot of time on that, even the slide is busy, but it's probably only for your reference if you want to look a little bit more into the papers. But there are plenty of people who are actually actively working on this. How can our artificial intelligence recognize human emotions? And the field of emotion recognition is actually very complex, because we moved recently from a flat representation of a list of emotion, like the wheel, the Robert Plutchik that you probably know, wheel of emotion, which is on the top, and that describes the intensity and qualities of the different emotions human being can experience. But we recently moved to much more complex models, like the 3D emotional space model maps, that integrate continuous dimension, like in the squared figure on the left side, where you can see that we suddenly dive into a really very complex world, with the measurement, including measurement of different sources that can be critically interesting and important in this topic, like measuring physical dimension, the recognition of emotion on your face, for example, but also physiological dimension, your heart rate, your the temperature of your body, of your skin. There are plenty of people who are doing research on that typical physiological data that are related to the emotion experience. So it's a very complex field, but we're very confident that using powerful tools like artificial intelligence will really help promote our capacity to measure emotion, and especially in some different fields in neurological disease, or also in the field of psychiatry, where it can be really critically helpful to be able to, among other parameters, of course, measure the emotions of the patients. So artificial intelligence, system decision, and outputs are definitely influenced by systemic errors in thinking. which are referred to as human cognitive bias. It's a whole topic, the human cognitive bias. And I don't know if, for example, in your university, the medical students are trained to discover and understand how much our human brains are prone to experience cognitive errors, cognitive bias, but I think it's a critical teaching for clinicians to be able to discuss the quality of our own thinking and our own reasoning, especially when it comes to interacting with the patient in order to make a diagnosis, for example. So there are systematic patterns of deviance from rationality in judgment or decision-making process, in which people may construct their own reality based on cognitive limitations, motivational factors, or adaptation to the natural environment. So I will not go into the details, but it's interesting to see in the research literature that, for example, this young PhD student, which is called Aditya Gulati, he proposed instead of not wanting to dive into this problem of the cognitive bias that the human transfer to artificial intelligence in the creation of the algorithms that are based on human data and human reasoning, his perspective is to integrate this concept into the research and to be able to make more quality research on this topic. He came up with a taxonomy of cognitive bias in the field of artificial intelligence to be able to promote more research on this particularly complex and important topic. And of course, the risk of ignoring emotional intelligence in artificial intelligence are plenty, probably, but I just wanted to highlight some of them here. We rarely introduce deliberately this bias in the creation of AI algorithms. They just reflect historic or prevalent human perceptions, but we really need to be aware of what the consequences can be in the quality of care. And because what is critical is to try to analyze and to figure out how we can prevent AI to become dangerous instead of being a beautiful tool to improve quality of care. So if you look at the artificial intelligence life cycle, it's divided in many different phases where we need to think about a way to constantly be aware of the risk and constantly try to improve at each single step. The conception, the data collection, the pre-processing, the in-processing, the creation of the algorithm, the validation of the algorithm, and so on and so on. At each single step, we need to think about some processes to ensure the quality of what we're doing with artificial intelligence tools. So definitely we need to connect and to work together, including emotional intelligence in artificial intelligence on a daily basis. But this needs also to be able, on a very practical point of view, try to figure out how to do that. How do we interact with innovation projects, startups, how to build partnership with new companies that are really proud of their innovative new tools in the field of artificial intelligence, and try to be available for them for really specific collaborations in order to be able to co-create quality in the field of artificial intelligence in health. So, to me, one of the aspects that can be really useful is to think about co-designing the solution and trying to include everybody in the loop, which is really not easy to do, I'm sure. And this is something that we're trying to do in our project, and I will say a few words on that. And it's also critical, of course, to embed at all steps ethical and humanistic values and probably try to figure out how to build up continuous evaluation programs to be able to keep, the focus on those critical values we want to develop. So we need to enhance user experience, and we saw that emotional data analysis is probably a critical point in this perspective, and we need to constantly, closely think about ethical considerations. And it is really not insist on a few ideas. And I'm not a specialist, because you'll see in a minute that we do have a specialist of co-design in our consortium, and we work with them, and they are the specialists. But what seems to be critical is really to be able to build some work together on each specific project, work together, involved everybody, not only the patient. We used to think, and I think it's a mistake, that if you want to build a digital solution for a patient, you want to involve the patient. But it's not true. It's not only true. Of course, we need to involve the patient, but we also need to include the secretary who is welcoming the patient in the morning in the department and taking the patient to his appointment with the doctor, for example. We need to include mostly everybody. And this is a concept that we do not have in the field of medicine, to include everyone in the discussion. And of course, on a technical point of view, that means iterative prototyping and testing, and that's a big work. And that needs money, energy, time, and that needs to be anticipated when we want to implement a new digital solution anywhere in the field of health. So just an example, very briefly, in the field of neurosurgery, and this just to show how clinicians can be really interested with trying to think and take care of this problem in a really practical daily point of view. What they did is, because they use a lot of artificial intelligence-based tools in their specialty, they asked, again, they used ChatGPT and all different form of GPTs. They asked them with the following prompt. They asked a question which was, how can artificial intelligence be ethically incorporated into neurosurgery? So it's kind of funny, because when you want to make your artificial intelligence tools more ethical, what they did is they asked the artificial intelligence generative AI tools to give them the answer. So it's a constant, collaborative process between human and the machine. And so, but by the way, they came with 12 key ethical considerations focusing on stakeholders, clinical implementation, governments. I mean, they tried to identify some critical considerations to be followed. And also they describe in their paper a cycle and how they can really practically interact with the creation and the implementation of the tools in their own field to be able to respect the ethical principle that they want to promote. Continuous evaluation. What are the tools that we can have? Recently, you probably heard about patient-reported outcomes. Patient-reported outcomes are some kind of questionnaires that we can use to be able to evaluate the experience of the patient through the process of being treated for a disease. And doing experience surveys, patients-reported outcome, all these tools are really deployed largely in the field of health today. And they tend to come up to the surface as critical indicators of the quality of care. And this is probably a good thing. And it has to be adapted to the way we want to continuously evaluate digital tools. And it's probably not yet on the market, we need to, as researchers, as clinicians, as innovative people working in the field of innovation, we really need to work on new questionnaires, new patients-reported outcomes, and it also can be designed for the professionals as well, these professional clinician-reported outcomes, to be able to measure the experience that you go through when you use a digital tool. So a lot of challenges, the complexity of human emotions. I mentioned the limitation based on the quality of quantity of data, and also the way we can integrate both in the creation of algorithms to be able to respect the quality of artificial intelligence in the field of health. And it really relies on interdisciplinary collaboration between every single people who is involved into any kind of project, and we really need to think broad and large, and really integrate everyone in our teams to be able to discuss the way we can really qualitatively implement solutions in our daily activities. So to finish, a few words on this experimentation. A third place for experimentation in digital health. It's a very big program that has been launched by the French government 5 years ago with a lot of money. It's integrated into a bigger program called France 2030. And it's a program where the idea was to, of course, the government is prone to support financially the new companies that are in the field of innovation and in digital health. But what the problem with this financial support is that almost 90% of the companies never reach the market. So it's a problem, of course, on the economical point of view, but also on the clinical point of view, because the country is financially supporting many, many different young companies that are really very innovative. But for whatever reason, the people they're trying to reach will never benefit from the digital innovation they're trying to create. So the idea was, okay, let's create some third place, what they call the third place for experimentation. And in other words, the idea was to open up the doors of the hospitals. Because I don't know if you've ever tried to experiment a digital solution in a hospital, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult because in a hospital we deal with data that are really private, that are concerning the health of the citizens. So there's a very big question of security, safety. There are many different difficulties about interoperability, like how do we allow a digital tool to be connected to the digital device where we have all the information for what we call the EHR in American, the electronic health record that we in most hospitals we use. So mainly until 5 years ago in France, the two worlds were really distinct, and it was very difficult for a company to be able to experiment really with the people they're trying to reach in the end by launching a new innovation on the market. So that's the best reason why this project has been launched by the government. And there are actually today 40 groups of people that have been supported financially, like our third-party trial sites. Our initiative is mostly devoted to renal disease, but it really includes all the metabolic and chronic disease in the society today. And the ambition was to really be able to select new digital initiatives, try to find out what are the best projects, the best companies right now in France, and help them by a strong collaboration to come to the hospital, get in touch with the professionals, with the patients, with all the ecosystem of health, and together build the experimentation that they need to be able to make the demonstration of the safety, efficacy of their solution, to be able to go to the market. And and I'm sure in Spain and in any country is exactly the same, the companies that are really coming up with innovative solutions in the field of digital tools have to show up with many different studies, experimentations, to be able to get the regulatory authorizations to be sold on the market for patients in the field of health. So it's a big amount of money, and we build up a big consortium with 11 partners. I'm just skipping that. Where are my partners? I lost my partners. So anyway, yes, here they are. So very briefly, we are different hospitals. We included the island La Réunion Island, because we wanted to be able to experiment also in some, territories where everything works differently than around the city of Paris, for example. We have 2 patient associations in our consortium. We have a design agency. We have 2 companies, Kesi and Ententemoi, as I said earlier, that are companies that come up with artificial intelligence algorithms to be able to work precisely on patient experience. We have a big biological companies with a very big data sets of biological data, because in many cases companies work on biological data as well. What else? And we also have a couple of colleagues devoted to clinical research to help us build up some specific experimentations in the field of research. Because doing research with a digital tools is not exactly the same strategies than doing research for drugs. Of course, it has to be much faster, much faster. Because if you wait 5 years if you answer a research call and you wait 2 years to have the answer, 3 years to have the money, and 4 years to begin the research, then the company is dead. In the field, no, but I mean, it's a reality. In the field of digital tools innovation, they have 1 year in money in front of them. So if you want to do something with companies, you have to really be fast and open up the doors of the hospital really fast. And also, it's much more simple to test for a new drug. The regulations is lighter. And we've been funded together with 3 different companies. I won't go into the details, but the government has also funded the leader companies that we had selected to give them some funding so that we can collaborate together to try to help them go to market by doing the studies that they need to do. And this is exactly what we are doing now. Just a word of to finish with the objectives and the responsibilities that we have being funded by the government. We are the idea is that our consortium should be able to work on communication, on digital health, try to bring more awareness, and to collect the expression of needs. So one big question, for example, in the field of nephrology would be, what do we need as the nephrology community? What kind of tools, digital tools, do we need today to make a better medicine, better care for the patient? And this is something that is really important for the companies, because they want to get the information of your expectations, and it's not that clear in many different fields. We do some training, and actually we have created a university diploma in the field of e-health and digital transformation that is very successful. It's the 3rd year. And we select companies, projects. Sometimes we answer calls together, research calls together with them to get funded. And we try to collaborate in building up some experimentations to be able to answer, on their timeline, on their objectives, what they need to do to go to market faster and to be able to be used by the patients. These are real pictures of the workshop that we are doing with the patients, with the clinicians, with everybody. This is actually the designers that we're working with, and what we can say is that most of the startups and companies, they come up and say, we've done every test, we know exactly what you need. And so the challenge for us is to say, okay, you know part of it, but let's go back to the reality. And when they realize how useful it is for them to have this huge opportunity to going to the hospital and meeting the people and seeing how the work is happening, really how the interactions between the patients and the professionals are really happening. And it's a really wonderful help for them, because they can, refine the way they can modify their solution, and slowly the quality of the solution is increasing incredibly. And this is one of the main reasons why they can eventually reach the market. So I think I'm really late, and so I think, that's perfect. Here are the take-home messages. So I really just I have no specific messages. I'm just sharing my experience of what we're doing. We've been working in this consortium for a year and a half, and it's really exciting because there's no rule. We're trying to learn by doing. I mean, we're trying to interact with the companies and make an experience that we really want to share. And we are not sure it's the only way to do it. It's the best way to do it, but this is what we do. And I just want to thank you for your attention and open up, the floor to the discussion, because I'm sure you have many comments and good ideas, and I thank you for that in advance.